We've all been there, shoving decorations into random containers and crossing our fingers that everything will survive until the next season. But here's the thing, there's a better way to handle those awkward, oversized, and stubborn holiday pieces that seem designed to make storage impossible. It takes some planning and it takes some patience, but it can be done.
Hi, it's Mary with Life A Gogo. And with my co creator, Adriane, we've spent over 5 years building a community where women come together to share tips on home organization, productivity, and life hacks. Here you'll find warm conversations and practical solutions to help make your life a little easier and a lot more enjoyable. After helping hundreds of women, we're excited to expand to YouTube to share our content with a wider audience. So grab a cup of whatever you like, settle in, and let's start creating our best lives together, one week at a time. As always, please help our journey by hitting the like, subscribe, and share buttons.
Now, personally, I wish I could just cast a spell and everyone would sort and organize itself. Well, unfortunately, I don't have that tool in the toolbox. So you and I are going to face our fall storage together without losing our mind or our sense of humor. Now, good storage is all about feeling lighter, feeling in control. And I tell my clients this: let it go. If you no longer use it, it's not your aesthetic, it's not part of your decor, the kids have outgrown all of the holiday decorating. Maybe you travel during Thanksgiving and you don't even need to decorate anymore. Let someone else love your items. Go ahead, set them free. Let another family enjoy them. It's much better than having them sit in a box in a musty corner in a basement or an attic or a garage. One of the biggest mistakes I see people make with storage is trying to force everything in containers that are too small. Your storage solutions should fit your decor, not the other way around. Sometimes that means investing in a few large bins or specialty storage items, but the time and frustration you'll save next year will make it worth every penny. And here's a tip: buy out of season. After the holidays, when you can buy the wreath boxes and the storage boxes at a much less expensive price. Amazon has tons of storage items, a lot of which are for Christmas, but they certainly can be purposed for other seasons. Now, our Halloween and Thanksgiving storage, it lives on elevated racks in the garage. We're very lucky, and I highly recommend, if you can do elevated racks in the garage, do it. It keeps everything out of the way, but we still need to have a system to keep everything safe and organized. So let's talk about some of the big items. Skeletons. Skeletons have become really popular. I mean, the gigantic ones and the little animal ones and the life-size ones. Well, we only have two skeletons. We have John and we have George. And actually, I store them in a large plastic bin that fits them exactly. As I say with bins, measure twice, buy once. But they fit in that bin exactly. That keeps them dust free. Now, skeletons are very bulky, but they do have some flexibility in their joints, at least the ones I'm familiar with. So you can bend them a little bit, and that's what I'm able to do. I can bend them at the hips, the knees, and the ankles, and it kind of looks bad and contorted, but they fit beautifully in one box. If you are not interested in doing that, you don't want to, then I suggest that you can use PVC pipe and bungee cord and create a stand, and you can stand the skeletons when they're off season. Or you could actually put a pulley system in, and I'm a big fan of pulley systems. You rig a pulley system at the ceiling of your garage, run a line down with a cleat, and then you can simply drop the hook and lift up to the ceiling whatever you want to store long term. I think we fail to use vertical space and ceiling space over and over again. And it is an absolute wonderful opportunity to get things up and out of the way. Think how high up our ceilings are in our garages. Give us some thought. Anyhow, that's what I suggest for skeletons. I also suggest you can put the smaller skeletons, microsort them into smaller containers into a larger container. So if you have the skulls or the bones or the dogs or the cats or the mice or whatever, You've got them all sorted, but they're in one larger protected container and not just jumbled up. You also, similarly, can use a garbage bag if you want to. Put everything in a garbage bag, make a loop at the top with some rope, and then either hang it up on the wall vertically in your garage or suspend it from the ceiling with a pulley system. Those can also be tucked in the back of a coat closet. It would amaze you how much space you have. Or one of my favorite places is under the guest room sink, because there's nothing under there but probably a spare roll of toilet paper. Creativity. Animatronics, we have a ton. So they're large, they're awkward, and they have battery issues. Let's talk about batteries. I want you to take the batteries out of everything. I don't care if it's a light for the pumpkin or that gigantic screaming goblin head like we had. Take the batteries out before you store them. This will avoid things going off in the middle of the night in the middle of the year and scare you to death. It will also avoid corrosion. Those batteries are going to corrode over the season, so just take them out and dispose of them properly. Put new ones in next year. But animatronics, they're never going to fit back in their original box. I will tell you that right now. But they will come apart, so you can bungee all the pieces together or tie all the pieces together or paint or tape all the pieces together, but you get the idea. Keep it all together, wrapped up tight, and then all those little extra pieces like the cord and the on-off switch and the accoutrement that goes with your creature, put those in a zipper top plastic bag and either pin that or tape that or tie it to the actual item. And like everything else, you can store it in a bin. You can hang it on using a hanger. You can attach it to a hanger and hang it in a coat closet or in your spare bedroom closet. You can slide it up on that shelf, that empty above the closet shelf in guest bedroom. Those things that go flat, you can use those flat under the bed boxes for. Those are ideal. Things that are only so deep and you slide them right under the bed. So there's a lot of opportunities there to store your big items. And like I said, for other things, I love to do smaller boxes in a larger box. Like I said, with the skeletons, we had bats and rats and snakes and eyeballs and shackles and chains. We had a lot of stuff. And so rather than having some hodgepodge, everything thrown into a big bin, I micro sorted into smaller bins and then put them in a bigger bin and labeled it. So I could quickly find, if I needed to find the eyeballs, I could get the eyeballs. If I needed the bats, I could get the bats. Now, oversized and irregular pieces like tombstones, you can either customize a box, which I've done before. It just takes a little bit of cutting and taping with heavy shipping tape, but you can customize the box exactly for things to fit in, or get a traditional rectangular box. Now, here's the thing with rectangular boxes. Watch out to make sure that they are truly right angled from the side to the bottom. I've noticed lately that some of these so-called rectangular boxes are really kind of V'd, and so they're wider at the top than they are at the bottom. You want to get your maximum storage space, so make sure your boxes are squared the way they should be, no matter whether they're big or small. But tombstones, that type of thing, you can easily put them either in a custom box and stack them, or put them in a plastic box and stack them. That is probably the best way to do that. Things like giant pumpkins, ours were not inflatable, ours were plastic. I would recommend either storing them on a shelf, or again, you can put them in a garbage bag and suspend them up on the ceiling. You can put a tension rod between the what do they call the 2x4s in a garage? Put a tension rod between all of those, and that becomes hanging central. You can hang all kinds of things using a tension rod and the framework in your garage. And if you have a finished garage, you can just drive a screw or a nail into that stud, and if it has any weight to it, and then you can hang things from there or suspend them from the ceiling. Now, that's the thing about suspending from the ceiling. You need to make sure you're not using really heavy items. And that's the beauty of like Halloween and Thanksgiving. For the most part, most of these things are really lightweight. They don't weigh a lot. So you can put it into a stud in the ceiling with your series of pulleys and up and out of the way. Love it. Vacuum seal bags are perfect for those inflatables. those gigantic turkeys and those huge pumpkins and ghosts and things, they're like sleeping bags. Once you take them out of the box, you can't ever get it back in its holder. So go ahead, when you deflate them, take a few minutes and roll them up sensibly. Get them nicely folded and rolled up, and then put them in one of those vacuum seal bags and just vacuum them flat. Oh, then you have all kinds of options. You could put them under the sink in the guest room. You could put them under your bed. You can put them up on the shelf. You could even stack them vertically as well as horizontally in the back of a closet. Vacuum bags are great for anything that doesn't need to retain its shape. Anything that can be crushed is obviously not, you're not use that in the vacuum bag, but linens you could use in the vacuum bags, and nowadays you can get them everywhere. Make sure you label everything. Now, I love the clear self-sticking pockets that hold the 4x6 index cards. And the reason why I love these is because A, they stick to everything, and B, it's easy just to pull out the index card and update it or change it and pop it back in. If you write directly on the container or the box, or you do an index card, put it on with tape, every time anything changes, it's really hard to update. So I use these all over the house, actually. I buy them by packs of 100, and I use them with all my clients. They are phenomenal. I highly recommend these. I'm sure we can include a link to where you can get them on Amazon. Now, when you're talking about Thanksgiving, you tend to get into things like large centerpieces, which obviously are going to need a stable base for storage. I love, if you don't want to have like plastic boxes, I love liquor boxes. Those things are like hardy, heavy duty cardboard, and they already have the nice dividers. And you want to try to get the ones that still have the lid so you can fasten it down. While you can't see through them, they still provide some good storage. What you need to do, though, is create a stable, cushioned bottom. And one of the best ways to do that, yes, you can use bubble wrap or whatever. Use your holiday linens. You're packing them up anyhow. The tablecloth, the napkins, the towels, the special kitchen towels. Why not make it useful? And you're going to get it out all at the same time. So that is a great way to solve that problem. You can also use the cardboard inserts. Pool noodles from the dollar store are fabulous. You can cut those up to fit exactly what you need. You can bend them around, slice them, cut it in half, do whatever you need to do to protect those items. And then, like I said, with the liquor boxes, they already have the dividers. So if you have the pilgrims or the different pumpkins or the different turkeys, whatever, the dividers are built in and you can kind of bend and cut to customize what you need. Now, they do make, you can buy it on Amazon. I think they call them nutcracker boxes, which they're tall and they are clear in the front. You can see what's in there. And they have like 6 dividers and they're designed to put tall, narrow items in. So that's something you can invest in, but otherwise you can make your own. And I'm a big fan of that. Large wreaths are always a challenge, but we all do love our wreaths. You can't compress them. They're bulky. You want to protect them. So you got some choices. The most cost effective is the old fashioned trash bag. You just cover with a trash bag, and then you can lay it flat on a shelf or tuck it up on a shelf or under a bed. Or you can, once again, hang it from a hook on the wall in a garage or the wall in a closet or suspend it from the ceiling. They also make plastic wreath bags, which that's pretty much the same, but they have a nice handle and they're heavy duty with a zipper. Those are really nice for hanging up or for laying flat. Now, you can't stack wreaths on top of each other using those because the wreaths will crush each other and you can't stand them up. But it's a good option. Now, I like the wreath boxes. They are the hard side plastic wreath boxes. They come with an internal inverted U shape where you can hang the wreath inside and then you snap close the top. It has a handle to carry or hang. It has a place to put screws in the walls and put it up on the wall. Or you can hang it up. You can stack them on top of each other because it's a hard case. And you can also line them up on a shelf like little soldiers because they will stand up on their own. I really like those. However, a bit of warning. My wreaths have existed for decades, several decades. And I did make the discovery that if you're not careful with the inverted U that you hang the wreath on, you need to rotate it around every year because otherwise it goes from being a circle to being an oval. Like the weight of it, the gravity will pull it down. So just aware of that. It's a little something there. And for small decor, I love shoe bags, clear shoe bags. They're very inexpensive to purchase. You can hang them anywhere or tuck them anywhere. They will hold all that little stuff that gets lost, whether it's the lights or the acorns or the pumpkins or the crows, scarecrows, whatever, all the little miniature stuff, or flags, all the garden plugs. That's a perfect way to store all of those. You can just hang them in the storage room or hang them inside a closet, hang them up using a hanger, attach them to the inside of a door. Very, very, very versatile. And you got to think about non-traditional places. Like I've talked about hanging the skeletons in the actual coat closet, which is fine. But coat closets, check yours out. Mine has a lot more space behind it than I ever anticipated. In fact, when I lived out west, there was so much space behind our coat closet. And it was also located under where two staircases met. We had a front staircase and a back staircase. I cut the back drywall out. Please don't cut a load-bearing wall. I cut the back drywall out, and wow, there was a ton of storage space to be had under those two staircases. I mean, tons. I put all kinds of stuff under there. And I didn't even bother to put the drywall piece back. You could if you wanted to hinge it or whatever, because all the coats covered it up. You couldn't even see that there was a opening large enough for me to easily walk through, probably 5.5 feet tall, and I'm only 5 feet tall, and plenty wide for me to get stuff in and out when I need it. And I only needed it once a year. So be creative. Think about where you might be able to open up a little space under stairs, or like I said, what is underneath your guest bathroom sink? Probably nothing. That's a great place. There's nothing wrong with neatly stacked little boxes or a few things laid down in bags. There's nothing wrong with that. It's your house. Use that space. The side walls of closets, particularly coat closets, have a lot of space. You can hang a lot of things there to store because you're only going to need them occasionally. So you really have to think about some non-traditional places, as well as elevated shelving in the garage or the pulley system, or tension rods between the 2x4s. All of those are great options for hanging. This is really about creating systems that let you enjoy the holidays rather than dread the cleanup. So with a little organization, a little bit of sense of humor, some maybe creative thinking, some purposeful purchases, measure twice, buy once, you can really transform your storage from chaos into calm. And that's what we all want. Thanks for spending time with me today. If you have any storage challenges, put them in the comments. We'd all love to see and give you an idea. Or if you have any funny holiday stories, please share those as well. I will tell you a little one. I left the batteries in the gigantic goblin thing, and in the middle of the year, like 3 months later after Halloween, we heard all this blood-curdling screaming coming out of the garage. And sure enough, I thought, it's a raccoon killing something. Yep, the goblin had gone off. I had failed to take out the batteries. It scared us, the dogs, the neighbors, everybody. So yeah, learn from my mistake and definitely take your batteries out. But if any of you have some fun holiday storage stories like that, we'd love to hear those. If this helped you today to feel a little lighter, a little better, and a little more in charge, I am thrilled. So I'd love for you to like, share, and subscribe. We are here once a week. So remember, we're friends creating our best lives one week at a time. And until the next time, cheers.